welcome back to my channel. My name is Annalie and I'm so glad that you clicked on this video. So Valentine's Day is just around the corner and there's my dog. Yes, she's gonna be in my video today. Say hi. You say hi. This is Murray. It's been a while since she's been in one of my videos, but anyway. So with Valentine's Day being around the corner, I thought it would be fun to do a Valentine's Day themed video. Last year I did one and it was like my favorite romance books and like romance books that were on my TBR. However, this year we're going to do something a little bit different and I'm going to go over my favorite book couples. These are couples in books that I've read that have just really stood out to me. I really enjoyed their story and like their chemistry between each other, and I just thought that they were just a really great couple in whatever story they were in. So just a few disclaimers. The books are going to be all different genres. Some of them are going to be YA, some of them are going to be adult. So please check to make sure you know what genre each book is, and just check any trigger warnings, especially if a book is more of a thriller book, just in case. And yeah, I also wanted to talk about couples that were actually together or actually got together in the books. So as much as I love characters like, for example, Edie Sage and the villain, Tristan in Assistant to the Villain, I did not include them in this because they don't actually get together in the first book. And I have yet to read the rest of the series to know if they actually do get together. I'm currently annotating the second book, but I'm still very like much in the beginning of that read. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. These are also in no particular order because if I tried to do that, it would just break my brain. Plus, I like these characters for different reasons and these couples for different reasons. Really aren't any that is like my top favorite. And there's also plenty of others in books that I won't be talking about in this video. And be sure to comment some of your favorite book couples in the comments down below. So first up, we have one of my favorite series, which is the Witchlore series. This is the first book. This is Small Town Big Magic. What are you doing? What are you doing? So there's a different couple for each book in the series, but the couple I wanted to focus on is actually from the first book, which is this book, Small Town Big Magic, and that is Emerson and Jacob. And they honestly are kind of like my first like couple that I like really got into when I first got back into reading. I think this was like my third or fourth book that I read when I very first got back into reading, and I immediately fell in love with Emerson and Jacob. I thought that they were a really great group. They are a friends to lovers story, which I know that's not a super popular book. Can you sit down, please? Thank you. I know like that's not a super popular trope amongst readers, but I always love a good friends to lovers. I just think it's so fun to see a friendship develop into something more because that foundation is already there and you know that you have mutual respect for that person and you already know that that person is a positive person in your life. And so when it turns into something more than that, it's just so much fun. I just think that they are such a sweet couple. We do get hints of their relationship developing as the series go on, but we aren't focusing directly on them like we are in this book, which is kind of sad, but I do like the other couples in each of the books that I have read so far. But there's just something special about Emerson and Jacob. They are just so sweet, and I love that they, you know, bring out the best in each other, and I love them, and they are the reason why I think I finally wanted to reread this book, because I wasn't a huge fan of it when I very first read it, and then I decided to give it a reread, and I honestly think it was because of those two. And this book has now become the first in one of my favorite series that I've ever read. So yeah, love these two. All right, so next up is a book from one of my favorite authors, and that is The London Seance Society. Now, this is by Sarah Penner, who has also written The Lost Apothecary, as well as her newest book, The Amalfi Curse, which I have not read yet. But this is her other book that she has out, and I think this was actually her debut novel, I think. Because I think this one came out before The Lost Apothecary. I could be totally wrong about that. But anyway, this is actually a WLW relationship. It's a sapphic romance, and it is about two girls. One is named, I think it's pronounced Volodine, and then the other one is Leanna, I think it's Leanna. It's been a very long time since I've read this, but I still think about this book all the time. Now, this one isn't like they're like super spicy, like once they get together, like all they can do is what I really love about this book is that it's very subtle, their relationship. It's kind of a slow burn romance, you know, but you can kind of tell from the very beginning, like there's something between these two, and I honestly loved these two. Again, it's very subtle. I think it's mostly because of the like when this takes place. This is taking place in London in like the 1800s. I think it's like the 1830s, 1850s, somewhere in there. And obviously at that time, sapphic romances just weren't a thing. You know, if they were a thing, they had to be hidden very, very well. And so I just thought that this was just such a good book. I love these two. And if you're wanting something that is more of a simple romance, like yes, they like each other and they want to be together, but it's not like overly like romantic, this is a great book for that. All right, so next up is another series. Now, this one actually does follow the same person and the same couple throughout the entire series, and that is Pip and Ravi from this series, which is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This one is such a sweet romance. This is a YA thriller series, and I have always loved these two. Again, they're much more subtle than in a lot of other books, especially because it's not a particularly romance. They don't really focus on Pip and Ravi's relationship all that much. They do a little bit in the first book, but especially in the second and third book, it's more so of them like dealing with all the other situations going on as opposed to what's going on between them. And I honestly kind of like that. I like that they're very well established over the course of the series. I like the fact that they are not like super like romantic, and you know, but at the same time you can tell that they still had a genuine like and even love for each other. And it really was a great series. And if you're just wanting something a little extra with your thriller book, I highly recommend that series because I do enjoy the characters of Pip and Ravi. I thought Ravi was just a great male lead, and he really comes into his own, especially in the third book. All right, so next up we have A Rival Most Vile, and this follows a rivals to lovers couple, Eli and Ambrose. So this is a book that I read about a year and a half ago for a book club, and I had to read this in one day, and I was so scared that this book was going to be slow and it was going to be boring and I was not going to like this. But what ended up happening was I fell in love with this couple. Like I said, this is a rivals to lovers romance, and it follows two wizards who Ambrose has a well-established shop, and then Eli comes in and opens a shop right across the street from him. And we've kind of seen this trope before. There have been other books that I read that have had like that similar kind of structure, but I really enjoyed these two. This is a great MLM romance. If you are looking for something a little different from just your typical, you know, romance, contemporary fiction, MLM romances, I really enjoyed this one. With the extra fantastical elements, it just kind of made the story that much more fun. And the humor in this book was also super duper good. I loved these two. They had great banter, but then when they became a couple, they became the absolute sweetest couple ever. I just thought that they were just the sweetest and the cutest, and I loved them so much. And I know that there are other books in this series and I haven't gotten to them yet. I don't know if it follows this couple still or if it follows new couples, but either way, I still really loved these two, and I would highly, highly recommend this. All right, so the next one is definitely one that I would suggest to check your trigger warnings first, just because I feel like this series, especially the couple that I'm going to be talking about, I just feel like trigger warnings should be checked before you read them. But how can I not talk about Johnny and Shannon? How could I not talk about Johnny and Shannon? And I know you guys are going to yell at me that I need to read the second book. I know I need to read the second book, and I just haven't yet because I'm scared. I'm scared. I think I actually put the second book in my books I'm scared to read video. I think I actually put that book in there. But this is the first book in the Boys of Tommen series, and the first two books follow Johnny and Shannon. So Johnny is a rugby player, and he is a very well-known rugby player at his school. Shannon's the new girl who is trying to leave her bad past and home life behind, and her and Johnny end up meeting under crazy circumstances, and their relationship unfolds from there. This book was amazing. Like, it took me a couple weeks to get into the first like 25%, but once I got to a certain point, I kid you not, and I've talked about this before, I binged 75% of this book in one day. One day. Because I couldn't stop. I just needed to know what happened. And again, I know that I need to read the second book and that it's going to be heartbreaking and difficult. And I also need to read the rest of the series so I can focus on the other couples. But they're just so sweet. They're such a sweet couple. Johnny really cares about Shannon. And you can tell, like, Shannon's so hesitant to let him in because of everything that's happened to her. But he is such a sweet boy. He's funny. He has great banter, not just with Shannon, but also with all of his other friends in his life. And it's a great slow burn romance. And I love these two. And if you have not checked out the Boys of Tommen series yet, I don't know what to tell you. If you have any inkling to read it, please do. But check your trigger warnings, please. This one, we have kind of an interesting one, and that is My Roommate is a Vampire. I love Cassie and Frederick. I love these two. It's very funny because you never think that a vampire would be such a golden retriever boy, but he is such a golden retriever boy. He is so sweet. This is a roommate's story. They start out as roommates and then become something more. It's a romance novel. This is a book that I actually annotated, not this last spooky season, the 2024 spooky season. And I love this. This is such a fun book. It follows the life of Cassie, who sees an ad for a super cheap apartment and then finds out that her roommate is a vampire, as the title says. And like I said, I love Frederick. He's so like naive about the world and he's still trying to figure things out. And Cassie is like such a great female lead. Like, she is like, I don't know, they just brought out the best in each other, and it was such a cute book, and this is just such a fun read. And I know they have 2 other books now in the series, and I definitely plan on reading them eventually. I just haven't gotten around to them yet, but just know that these two, if you're just wanting such a sweet, cute romance with Golden Retriever Boy, but with like a little bit of a twist, this is a great book for that. Okay, this is another book that I know you guys are going to yell at me to read the second book in the comments. I know that it's going to happen. I just haven't gotten around to it yet, but trust me when I say I want to finish this duology soon, and that is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. I love Raven and Elspeth. I do. I love this book in general. This is a gothic fantasy, and it is a very well-known book here in the bookish world, and I love this. I loved the character of Elspeth as well as Raven. I felt like they complemented each other very, very well. This was another like slow burn. I love myself a good slow burn. I don't like it when they become a couple immediately. Sometimes it works, sometimes it works, but most of the time I'm like, I like the yearning. I like the will they, won't they. I like the, little moments where they're like getting closer and closer. But it just hasn't happened yet. Like, I love those moments. And I think that's just because it's more reminiscent of what happens in real life, because in real life, I feel like it's very rare that a couple becomes a couple immediately, like almost immediately. Like, a lot of us, as someone who's never been in a real relationship before, but anyway, as someone, I feel like for a lot of us, it takes us time to get to be with somebody. And especially when you don't really know them that well, I love these two. And if you're looking for a good slow burn, a good gothic fantasy, I would totally recommend this. And Raven and Elspeth definitely make a great couple. They are very much an added bonus in this world, and I just thought that they were amazing. And yes, I know I need to read the second book. I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I promise I will get to it soon. So the reason I said what I said in the last book is because sometimes I do like it when a couple becomes a couple pretty quickly. Because how can I not talk about my favorite book couples without mentioning Alex and Henry? Hello, this is my favorite book of 2024. I love these two. I love Alex and Henry. They are probably my favorite MLM romance ever. I just think these two are phenomenal. And yes, they do become a couple pretty quickly, but we do find out in the book that there is a long-standing feud between them. They are definitely a enemies to lovers kind of situation, but I love them as a couple. I love that we focus on them being a couple in this story because, good God, they are so sweet. I loved seeing their relationship in this book. I loved how genuinely in love they were with each other. Like, it just oozes out of this book how much these two really care for one another. And honestly, I have seen the movie, and I honestly don't think it really does justice with how much they truly adore each other as it does in the book. I'm not saying that the movie was bad. I'm just saying that it's kind of hard to kind of show how much they truly adore each other and love each other, in a movie than you can in a book, because you can have like inner dialogue and you can have like descriptions that you just can't have in a movie format. And I just thought that this book, it's just, if you haven't read it yet and you love a good romance, and if you love a good MLM romance, please pick this book up. Please, for the love of God, pick this book up. I think you will love it. I was honestly very hesitant to read it when I very first got back into reading, but I'm really glad I decided to pick it up. I've been wanting to do a reread of this book so bad. I just haven't yet, and I just think that these two are amazing, and they are such goals, and I love them, and yeah, they're amazing. All right, next up we have a YA pick. This is actually a newer read. I actually just read it within the last couple of months. And that is Spells for Lost Things, and this follows Willow and Mason. So both of these characters are very flawed characters, which I do appreciate whenever a book shows characters that have their flaws and are not perfect. And especially with younger kids, like, younger people do go through stuff. And teen years especially, those are hard years because there's just so much going on with you. Like, anybody can tell you that the teen years are some of the hardest years we'll ever have to go through. And especially with Willow and Mason, they have extra things going on in their lives that make it even harder for them. You know, both of them have issues with their families, and they find each other in a way that is, they make each other feel safe. They make each other feel whole. And to me, that is just such a beautiful thing. And obviously it's a YA book. It doesn't get like super crazy or anything like that. But you could just tell like they truly like end up really adoring each other by the end of it. And I loved this. I mean, I already love this book in general. I thought that this is a great read, and it's definitely a very underrated read. But the added bonus of having them like at the center of it was just even better, and they become like partners in crime as well, which if you love books like that, I would totally recommend this. And I just think that they are such an amazing couple, and I think that they're awesome, and more people need to read this book and know about them, and I just think they're amazing. I love them. So the last book that I have for you guys is another roommate story, and that is The Society for Soulless Girls. This is another YA book, I believe, and this is set in London, and I think, or somewhere in that area, and we are following Lottie and Alice. This is definitely a roommates, grumpy sunshine kind of couple, and these two are awesome. This is another sapphic romance that I really enjoyed. I loved that, you know, that they, you know, it was another slow burn as well. They really truly develop a relationship. Like, sometimes you don't really get to ever see that development. Sometimes it just happens too fast. But I feel like with these two, we really got to see that development from them becoming strangers to roommates to lovers. And to me, I just thought that it was really cool. It's definitely a opposites attract type of situation. And I mean, this is another underrated book. It's such a fun, dark academia, dark gothic type of book. And I feel like more people need to read it. But I really did love the development of Alice's and Lottie's relationship throughout the course of this book. I thought it was really great to see them learn about each other and care about one another, and it was just, I loved it. And I feel like if you want more dark academia with some sapphic romance, this is a good pick. This is definitely a good pick. So those are all of the book couples that I am talking about in this video. I love a good couple in a book. You know, sometimes they're not always necessary, but whenever they hit, they hit. And obviously I have other books that I love, and I wanted to try and do some more underrated couples, because obviously there are people that are like, you know, we know that we love Feyre and Rhys from, you know, ACOTAR. I do love them, and I could have included them in this video, but I was like, no, I'm gonna try and do something different. And you know, yes, I did put in a few that are more well known, but I still wanted to focus on some couples that don't really get a lot of love. And I love these books, and I would love for more people to read about these books and know more about these couples, because they're just amazing. And there are so many other books that are out there that I am very excited to read them eventually. I'm excited to read the sequels to a lot of these books and see those relationships develop more, but I'm also excited to learn about new couples in the future. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and go. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and happy Valentine's Day. It is next Saturday, so I hope you guys enjoy your day with whoever you are celebrating with, whether you are celebrating it with a partner or just by yourself. I hope that you guys feel the love of that day. And with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and go, guys. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.